Hi, would you like to know closing costs when you purchase condo or a house in Florida? Let me show you step by step how I calculate it for my buyers. I'm Iryna Talmachova. I'm your South Florida real estate agent, and let me show you. Okay, so I'm gonna show it on particular example of the closing that is gonna take place on September 18th in Delray Beach, Palm Beach County. Each detail is very important. Like, for example, it's gonna be different closing costs if you close in Palm Beach County. It's gonna be different closing cost depending on the date of closing. So let me show you. Okay, so the condo that is gonna be closed very soon is in Lakes of Delray, beautiful Delray Beach community. It calculates. And now you see the estimated annual property tax. Remember this amount is $3,300. Why it is important to remember? Because you're gonna see the difference. Right now, the assessed value is $190,000 for the tax year of 2024, but it's gonna be very different when we're gonna put the purchase price. Okay, so far it's gonna calculate using this amount of tax. Home price. The condo was listed for $315,000. Fortunately, my buyers are getting it for $235,000 only. Loan type. They're getting it all cash. Later on, I'm gonna change it to the mortgage, and we're gonna see different scenarios buying with different amount of down payment. So how your money at closing is gonna be very different if you're buying with cash or with different types of mortgages. Buyer broker fee, in my case, it is 3%. I did charge my buyer 3%, and it is gonna be split between seller and buyer. Miscellaneous. In this case, we're gonna add transaction fee. Different real estate brokerages charge different transaction fees. In this case, is gonna be $299. Sorry, 99. Oops. $299 only. I saw as high as $800, and I saw $1,000. Some brokerages. So be aware when you making buyer brokerage agreement between yourself and the buyer. I mean buyer's broker. Find out how much money their company charges, because once again, in this case is $299. Some brokerages charges up to $1,000, and it's obviously big difference. Next expense they have to pay is HOA transfer fee, which is $2,000. Hey, what's going on? I can type. Okay, $2,000. So this is it for now for miscellaneous amounts. Now, tax HOA. Okay, so we know HOA amount. It is $798. Once again, it's important to verify because HOA go up sometimes, and unfortunately sometimes it go up very high, much higher, because when the condo, especially condo, went through assessments, and HOA amount goes really much higher than it used to be. So it is important that your buyer agent verifies HOA amount, and there are no additional assessments. Like, for example, we just put miscellaneous. It could have been some assessments that the buyer would have to pay, or the seller have to pay. So it's gonna also all influence the amount of closing costs. So okay, so in this we have exact closing date of September 18th, and let's see what happens. We push compute. Voila! Remember I told you to remember the tax amount. So it used to be $3,348, But since the purchase price drastically went up from $180,000 to all the way to $235,000, we see that estimated annual property tax goes all the way up for $5,471. Done. And we see the due to close is $239,118. It's gonna be less than this amount. Why? Because in each and every case, to purchase something, you have to prepay escrow money. It can be as high as 10% of the purchase price. In our particular case, we only paid $10,000, and it means that the money that had to be wired is this amount minus $10,000. Okay, so and I'm gonna show you the exact this little bit of where all this money going, like all this closing costs. So the closing costs totally is $4,118,000, which are not so bad because you purchase with cash. Okay, so and you see escrow fees, endorsements, is all this little amount of money. That's gonna be also very different depending on each title company. They charge different amount of money. Courier fee most likely not gonna be in this case at all because the closing is at the title office. But all other amounts of money like recording fees, also like you see like they nickel and dime you like scanning fee, digital document storage, signing agent, closing lock, transaction fee. Transaction fee is actually from a real estate company, and buyer broker fee. So the most important one is like big amount here is buyer broker fee, but it's in this particular case it's not really correct because the buyer pays me only 0.5% and 2.5% is paid by the seller. But I just didn't want to like don't play with that and just wanted to show you approximate amount. But anyway, like so it is why I'm showing it for you, because it's very important to know what amount of money you're gonna need on top of the purchase price, because some people they see purchase price and they're absolutely unaware of the closing costs. I came through this so many times, and so many people like you, like every day, almost like every day, asking me how much is gonna be costing them to purchase. So I can go and almost to the dollar can tell you how much you're gonna need to purchase this particular property. So when you work with the real estate agent, please make sure ask them to go to the title company and ask them all these expenses. So all these expenses can be calculated, and title company will absolutely help you to figure out all these expenses ahead of time, so you know what you're going to be paying at closing. Okay, so let's remember this. Due at close, how much the cash buyer is going to pay? It's $239,000. Remember this account, because now we are going to play with that. Let's say you see modified offer. So the offer was more than $235,000. It was $242,000 for some reason, like let's just say it, let's pretend it was more. Use modified offer. Boom. What do we see? The amount of due at close obviously is higher, and you can play with that as much as you want. Okay, let me clear all fields and start from the beginning. Okay, so now we're gonna use the same property. So you're gonna see the big difference if you buy with cash or you buy with the mortgage. Okay. Now, once again, you're gonna see the estimated annual property tax based on the previous purchase price, previous assessed value of $190,000. Why I'm not saying purchase price is because assessed value is different from purchase price, and you have to find out about your assessed amount from your tax collector. In this particular one, we are, like I mentioned already, in Palm Beach County. So you're going to go to Palm Beach County tax collector, and there is a special website. You can just put your address, put the purchase price, and they will give you the estimated property tax for the next time you're going to be paying taxes yourself after you purchase it. Okay, so for now it's going to calculate the old one. Home price. So the home price, we're going to leave the same. We're going to have $235,000. But in this case, instead of cash, we're going to use conventional. And we're going to use 20% down. Just for the sake of, like showing the difference. The interest rate right now is 6.125. Absolutely, it's not set in stone. You have to find out about your interest rates from your mortgage broker. And how you're going to find out? Because you are going to be pre-approved. You cannot go and, I would advise you not to go and look at houses before you're going to get your pre-approval, because it's very important. It depends what kind of interest rate you particularly gonna get, because people think like, hey, this is interest rate. Why my interest rate is so much higher? It's because the risks for you particular are much higher. It depends on your credit score and all other little details that your mortgage broker can explain to you. Okay, so let's go further. 30-year term. Buy a broker, we're gonna leave the same 3%, and we're gonna, for the sake of experience, say again split. Seller concession. Okay, so seller concession, we see in this case, did I even let me check? Yes, buyers. Okay, so seller concession, it depends if seller gave any concessions towards buying your mortgage rates or not. Let's say we live right now at 0%. What else? HOA. Okay, so HOA is, as we know, $798 a month. And closing, it is going to be September 18th. Miscellaneous. Okay, miscellaneous again is still going to be $299 for transaction fee. And HOA transfer fee is $2,000. So the real case, real life scenario. All this except that this particular purchase was with the cash. Okay, so now we're going through scenario of purchasing it with mortgage, conventional, 20% down. Okay, so now let's see at our closing cost expenses. Once again, it warns us about the difference of property tax. It raised from $3,300 to $5,400. Big difference, especially if you're purchasing it with the mortgage. It's very important to know your estimated annual property tax, because it is going to be in your every month's payments. Done. And what we see, so we see that you have to bring closing costs, to the closing table, $61,000. It's pretty big amount, because when you purchase with cash, you paying just cash and you're done. You bought the property and you're done. Okay, so let's see detailed closing costs. That's going to be important. You see the closing costs. Remember, the closing cost previously was $4,000. you see how much higher it is now? It's $14,000 in closing costs. So when you buy something like a house, a condo, with the mortgage, it's very important. Once again, like I cannot stress enough that it's very, very important for you to find out how much you have to bring to the closing table, because you may not have this amount of cash with you. And that's where the down payment assistance programs that real estate agents who are really professional may know about, and I can direct you to this, and also mortgage brokers who are really, really nice and professional, and real estate agents. They will direct you to use down payment assistance programs if you're eligible for that. So once again, big difference: $4,000 in closing costs and $14,000 in closing costs. Why it's so? Is the title company? The mortgage company is gonna want the insurance up front, because yes, you own the house or you own the condo, but they're paying on your behalf for everything. So they want to have the property intact, and that's why they want to be sure. It means insured, and that's why you're paying 14 months of insurance up front. 4 months of taxes, so they also want, and 15 days of interest. So all this amount of money, normally, if you're buying with cash, you won't be paying. Lender fees, origination fee, survey fee. Origination fee also varies. So in this particular case, it's just like, approximate. It can be actually much higher. Prorated tax, all these expenses again. So now let's change our scenario a little bit, and let's say we're buying it with FHA. FHA, and FHA is 3.5% down only. Okay, so all the other parameters are going to be the same. Compute. And we're going to see that if you are paying only 3.5% down instead of 20% down, you'd have to bring to closing table $23,000, which is still a lot. If you think about it, look at it, it's $23,000. So you would have to go, and you'd better go to the seller and negotiate for some of the money to be paid by seller towards your closing costs, or go and get an assistance for down payment assistance. Let's see detailed closing costs. Interestingly enough, look at this. You see, total closing cost is $15,000, which is more than we saw when we had a scenario with 20% down conventional. So make sure that you have this money, cash, that you can pay, or you negotiate down payment with the seller, or you get down payment assistance. As you can see, this is really big amount of money to bring to the closing table. If you think that you're only paying 3.5%, you're gonna be having a rude awakening that is much higher than that. Okay, so now which scenario we can play? We can play. You see that interest rate was lowered for FHA. Instead of 6 point something, it's 5.8, because FHA, if you qualify for FHA, is gonna be the interest rate is gonna be less than for conventional. But it depends on your credit score. It has so many variables. So that's why I stress again, go and get pre-approved first. Okay, so what else? Seller concession. Okay, let's say seller concession. They give you the full 3% seller concession. Seller paying concession. Is the seller paying the buyer agent compensation and providing a concession? Yes, let's say that. So they pay in the buyer part and they provided buyer concession. So let's calculate using that information. And you see it's $16,000. It's still a lot of money. Let's see detailed closing costs. So total closing cost in this amount is gonna be only only $8,000, and it's gonna consist of insurance, taxes, interest rates, seller concession. So seller concession in this case is gonna be minus $7,000. So it's pretty big amount of money. Remember the previous one without seller concession of 3%, it was $15,000. So it worthwhile asking for the seller concession. Okay, so once again, $7,000. You see, $7,000. Let's see the scenario. It's very interesting. What is better for the buyer, to ask for the seller concession of 3% or ask for 3% discount to the price? So okay, the price. So the price is $235,000. Let's calculate 300. Oh, sorry, not 300. $235,000 minus 3%. So let's say we negotiated, instead of negotiating down payment assistance from the seller, we negotiated the price. So the price would be $227. Oh, sorry, $227,950. 227,950. Okay, so let's change it to 227,950. And we're gonna get rid of seller concession. Seller concession is 0. Done. We see, you see how much more you have to bring to the closing table, 22,000, and actually the mortgage payment is gonna be enormously much higher. You see PMI, you see so PMI is insurance for the mortgage. So if you're paying less amount of money, less than 20% down conventional, you're gonna have PMI insurance. It's like protection for the mortgage company, so that's their insurance, but you're paying that because you're paying just 3.5% down. So once again, it's way better to have closing price, the sale price, a little bit higher, but negotiate 3% of seller paying your closing costs, then have lower price of the house and bring into the closing table much more money. So in all this monthly payment, this difference between $235,000 and 22,700 is going to be really small in monthly amount, but it's going to be very big upfront amount of money if you understand. Okay, so it's been 25 minutes. I've been talking nonstop. So this is closing cost for the buyer. Let's say for the seller, let's jump to the seller. We're gonna use exactly the same example. We're gonna have the same particular condo, unit 304, just for the sake, so you know how it is. It's interesting. Again, it shows us this amount of tax. So the purchase price is, we're gonna keep the same, 235. Cash. It actually doesn't matter for the seller or the buyer if they sell for cash or not. Okay, seller broker fee 3% and buyer broker fee. So we're gonna keep it the same. Miscellaneous. What do they have for this? What can we put? Okay, so for the seller also they have. So if you're a seller and let's say you have to pay for repairs after home inspection, you need some repairs. Let's say something happened and you negotiated, instead of doing repairs yourself, you negotiate, let's say $2,000. Let's pretend. Actually, let's leave it the way it is. So in this case, the condo that my buyers are buying is in impeccable condition, and they didn't have to pay any repairs. But just for the sake of to show you what kind of expenses seller can be faced with, it's repairs, seller's contribution. Like I mentioned, the seller can contribute to closing costs. You can ask for that. Seller's transaction fee. What a transaction fee is, the transaction fee that is charged by seller's real estate company. I actually don't know what is the transaction fee the seller company has, but I'll take it ours, which is only $2.99. Done. Okay, so what else? HOA transfer fees. It's also paid by the buyer. And home warranty, they're not paying home warranty, but this is all the expenses that you can see that seller can pay. Subtract from seller's closing costs. What else? What do they have here? What can they? So seller's closing costs. I don't know which exactly you can subtract. Quite frankly, that's why they don't even give us an option. But just in case. Okay, so closing date we have to change to the real one. So the seller is, in this case, is selling it for $235,000, all cash. They paying broker fee. Actually, let's put the real number, because I know that they pay for the seller broker is 2.5%, and for the buyer they are not paying anything, because the additional 0.5% that I'm getting, they're getting from they're not paying that. They're paying only 2.5 towards me, and the rest 0.5 is paid by my buyer. Okay, so let's make it the real scenario, how it is really going to be. So let's say how much they're gonna get. Let's see it. So in their pocket, they're gonna end up with $219,000, 689. Oh, and you can see that the closing costs is gonna be with so they're gonna pay for title policy, escrow fees, closing fees, obviously not escrow fee but closing fee, title search fee, city search. That's all paid by. Actually, everything is negotiable. Well, I want you to remember that all expenses and everything when you buy or sell, everything is negotiable. The commission for real estate agent is negotiable. All the fees, you can negotiate all the fees. Everything is not set in stone. Everything is negotiable. Documentary stamp tax, you just have to pay it. Estoppel is issued by the HOA, recording fees, signing agent, e-recording, so a lot of expenses. Seller broker fee, so the most amount of money obviously you're gonna pay to your selling broker fee. In this case, they're paying 2.5%. Okay, so here is it. If you have any questions, if you would like me to run any scenario, if you want to sell, for example, if you're a seller, more than welcome to do that particular, exactly like, to run this for you. If you're a buyer, you can reach out to me, and like we can go, and let's say like you want to buy somewhere in Delray Beach, like in this case, or you want to buy in Port St. Lucie. Why I'm mentioning it's different, because Port St. Lucie, St. Lucie County and Palm Beach County, they have different tax rates. So it depends on the address. So we're going to sit down with you, or we can do the Zoom call, whatever is better for you. But you can at least know what you're going to be paying at your closing table. Once again, it's Iryna Talmachova, more than happy to help you with any of your real estate needs, actually mortgage too, because I work with the best mortgage companies here in South Florida. Iryna Talmachova, 561-406-0717. Have a fantastic day, and I'm gonna put additional information in the video description, how you can reach out to me, and you can watch other of my videos that I have. I have a lot of very useful video on my YouTube channel, Palm Beach Real Estate by Iryna Talmachova, and I also have books published. So all the links you can find in the description. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.